And I invite you to take care of yourself. Get some water, eat some snacks, and come and go as you need to. Feel free to move, to shake, and dance and sing. All that is welcome here. Do be mindful about having your microphone on if you are going to sing and dance, which is fine. This is an experiential evening. Invite you to notice what comes up for you and begin working there. Get curious about your experience. And finally, stick around to the end when I will make the announcement related to the book. And I know it's almost dinner time, so I'm going to try to keep this to about an hour, to under an hour and a half. Now, I want to invite you to join me to bring us into this moment, to center us into this evening. Just to do a few collective breaths. If you could sit up in your chair if you're seated, or stand up with balanced weight on your legs if you're standing, and just feel flat, put your feet flat on the ground. And we're going to take 4 slow breaths together. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth for a count of 4 each direction. And if it feels comfortable, I do invite you to put your hand on your belly and the other one on your heart, and to close your eyes. So let's begin. So just breathe in through the nose for a count of 4. Exhale through the mouth. 1. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And feel the oxygen starting to flow all the way deep to your toes, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose one more time. A really delightful gratitude breath. And a deep exhale to release anything and be here now. Before we go into the introduction, please join me for about 5 minutes as we invite a few special guests in our midst this evening as we continue on this journey. Feel free to close your eyes and to simply breathe as you listen.
Isaac. Isaac.
Isaac.
Isaac.
Isaac.
65 years old.
Charles.
Isaac's son.
Isaac's son.
Ran away.
Isaac's son.
Ran away. Ran away.
Nellie.
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 Isaac's daughter.
Isaac's daughter.
Married off.
Henry.
Nellie's daughter.
Nellie's
Nellie's
daughter.
daughter.
13 years old.
13 years
13
old.
years old.
13 years old.
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Nellie's daughter.
Nellie's daughter.
8 years old.
Nellie's daughter.
8 years old.
Ruthie.
8 years
Ruthie.
old.
Ruthie.
Nellie's daughter.
Nellie's daughter.
Nellie's
6
daughter.
years old.
Nellie's
6 years
daughter.
old.
Patrick.
Patrick.
Isaac's son.
Isaac's son.
Ran away.
Ran away.
Letty.
Letty.
His wife.
His wife.
Cornelius. His
Cornelius.
son.
Cornelius.
Francis. 12 years old.
Francis.
Francis. 12 years old.
Susan. 10 years old.
Susan.
10 years old.
10 years old.
Gabriel.
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 8 years old.
Gabriel.
8 years old.
Peter. 5 years old.
5 years old.
Jackson. 3 years old.
3 years old.
3 years old.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
1 year old.
1 year
1
old.
year old.
1 year old.
James.
James.
James. Isaac's son.
Delia.
Delia.
Isaac's wife.
Isaac's wife.
Isaac's wife.
Isaac's wife.
Susan.
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 Disrespectful when you go with your dad. So
Isaac's
if you're
daughter.
disrespectful when you come back, that's what I can.
George.
George.
Their son.
George.
Son.
Their son.
1
Their
year
son.
old.
1 year old.
Isaac. Ran away.
Isaac ran away.
Isaac ran away.
Isaac ran away. Kitty.
Kitty.
Isaac's wife.
Isaac's wife.
28 years old. Austin.
Their son.
Their son.
6 years old.
Isaac, their son, 4 years old.
28 years old.
6 years old.
5 years old.
65 years old.
1 year old.
4 years old.
1 year old.
6 years old.
1 year old.
Their son.
Their son.
1 year old.
Ran away.
Austin.
Ran away.
Their son.
Ran away. Isaac. Their son. 4 years old.
Elias. Their son.
Elias.
1
Their
year
son.
old.
1 year old.
Sally,
About 65 years old.
eternal rest given to them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them.
Eternal rest give unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them.
So now I want to invite you all to introduce yourselves. We heard about Isaac and his family, and so I'd like to invite you to introduce yourself, saying your name, naming who you belong to, who your daughter or son of, and telling us the location where you're calling in from. And also invite you to reflect on what is filling you with joy today, and to invite and suggest the next person to go. And so to start us off, my name is Lisa Jagona. I am the daughter of Lillian and Samson, and from Kenya, and I am calling in from Dallas, Texas, the land that was stewarded by the Caddo people and the Wichita. And the thing that is filling me with great joy today was earlier today we had the opening of a camp with kids that were 4 to 11 years old, where they're starting to learn to skate, and it was just great joy to be in their presence. I'd like to invite Thank you all. Thank you. So we'll go on to the next section of the program, which is an introduction of what is Juneteenth. And to really fully appreciate the answer to that question, I think it's first best to appreciate what came before. And for that, I once again invite you to listen and feel.
Let us go. Set us free. Let us go. Set us free. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free. Make us whole. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free. Let us go. Set us free. Let us go. Set us free. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free, make us whole. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free. This is not a world created by God. This is a country created by mobs. Killed, pillaged, freedom robbed. We were stolen, no time to sob. Taken to a foreign land. Feet chained, shackled hands. The lawless made the laws. The devil made God's plan. Let us go. Set us free. Let us go. Set us free. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free. Make us whole. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Set us free. This is not a world created by God. This is a country created by mobs. Killed, pillaged, freedom robbed. We were stolen, no time to sob. Taken to a foreign land. Feet chained, shackled hands. The lawless made the laws. The devil made God's plan. Taken to a foreign land. Feet chained, shackled hands. Taken to a foreign land. Feet chained, shackled hands. The lawless made the laws. The devil made God's plan. The lawless made the laws. The devil made God's plan.
On April 12th, 1861, the Civil War begins. Approximately 2 years later, on January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. This opens the door for African Americans to enlist in the Union Army. On April 9th, 1865, the Civil War effectively ends when the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrenders to Union troops. By the end of the war, approximately 180,000 African American soldiers had joined the fight. On June 19th, a few months later, in 1865, 2,000 Union troops arrived at Galveston Bay, Texas, announcing that the more than 250,000 enslaved Black people in that state were free. Therefore, Juneteenth refers to January 19th, 1865, when Union soldiers arrived at Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War was over and that slavery in the United States was abolished. This was more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. I'd like to take a moment to read you the general's order that was issued on June 19th, bringing the news to the people in Texas. It reads, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance to a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. It involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere." June 19th, 1866, a year later, marks the first celebration of Juneteenth. It is the day that those that were formerly enslaved remembered and celebrated the arrival of soldiers in Texas with the news and with the power to enforce their freedom. Juneteenth is a celebration of profound joy and the sense of salvation that enslaved persons must have felt as they received the news and saw the door of unimaginable possibilities crack open. They sang, they danced, they ate, they hollered praises and words of gratitude to the utmost high. Undoubtedly, they also felt the sting of learning late what never should have been. Slavery was wrong, slavery is wrong, but freedom, no matter how delayed and constrained, is sweet. And so let us take a moment to savor that sweetness because it is not guaranteed.
Amen. 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 With the horns now. Amen. Amen. Let me tell you, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, yeah. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine to show my love. One thing my pappy used to say, he said that even in my home song, I said, what, Dad? I'm gonna let it shine. I said, even in your home, son, you got to let your little light shine. Yeah, even in your home, son, you've got to let it shine. Just let it shine. Just let it shine to show your love. And then I say, Daddy, help me sing this line one time. Amen. He helped me. Amen. With a feeling. Amen. 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 Everybody together now. Amen. The louder now. Amen. Everybody say amen. 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 Amen.
When one first learns about Juneteenth, the darkness that surrounds it, the evil institution of slavery, and the slow dissemination of information can make the light seem dim. But Juneteenth is a celebration of Black joy, joy that exists in the midst of great darkness. The human experience allows us to experience complex emotions all in one space. Juneteenth is also a valuable tool for understanding and teaching us how and why things are the way they are today. This Juneteenth, as we remember the sweetness of freedom, let's wrestle with the tensions that persist today as our leaders repeatedly abdicate responsibility to care for the welfare of all people and refuse to disseminate information that can serve the commonwealth. This Juneteenth, may hardworking Americans remember that we are free to make different choices in our lives, in our relating, and in the ballot boxes to contribute ourselves to the endless fight for liberation. Together, we have the power to set ourselves free. So next, I'd like to take you behind the scenes a little bit of my book. and really talk about where it started. Um, the complexity of emotions and experiences surrounding Juneteenth are echoed in the book that I've been bringing forth, Healing from Racism. And for more than 2 decades, writing has been a healing practice for me. I write in part to process and to wade through muddy water, to remember fundamental truths. One fundamental truth that continues to be a powerful anchor is that in the midst of great darkness, there's always the possibility of light. In my original vision for the book, Healing from Racism, the grief cycle was prominent. As you know, grief is not an event, but rather an unfoldment. Grief was on my mind in part because we were in the midst of COVID-19, and also we had witnessed George Floyd's murder. And there was a tremendous sense of loss locally and globally. I noticed how unprepared and uncomfortable we were to acknowledge and be with the suffering that was arising from all the losses around us. The loss to our individual selves, sense of selves, the loss to our routines, the loss to our ability to gather, the loss to our ability to venture out and confidence to venture out, and to trust each other and our systems, and the loss of loved ones. As I read several books about grief that examined why some people are able to re-engage with life and continue living into their fullness with relative ease after a loss, while other people take 3, 10, 30, and sometimes never really are able to redefine themselves anew after a loss. I noted that the emotions associated with grief at different stages were the emotions that I had experienced whenever I was subjected to interactions that felt deeply personal and somehow racialized, both directly and indirectly. And just like with racism, I noticed how we seemed unable to follow through to collectively talk about the deaths. We gave little consideration to the people who were being left behind because of those deaths. The idea is that you just need to get back into it. And our individual lives, we did feel the losses, but on a national and communal level, because this was a global experience and national experience, we weren't able to really support each other through that grief. And part of that was because it became politicized. And so some of the early stages of grief are shock, numbness, denial, emotional outbursts, anger, and a searching for the thing lost or the person lost. Grief doesn't just come because you lose a person. It can also come from these more intangible things like losing your sense of self. And as I observed our reaction to COVID and the reaction to George Floyd's murder, I saw a lot of these early stages of grief showing up. And so in the original version and vision, what I was going to explore was how do we go through the grief of experiencing hurt and loss to be able to go through and reestablish ourselves in this environment with racism as the sort of the cause of that feeling of loss. And in this way, the book's goal was very clear from the beginning. The book was going to be an exercise to promote healing and working through healing. And since healing is a goal, it requires looking at the disease to identifying the underlying causes and patterns. The very first draft of the book, which I did in 3 days, was me purging out all the hurts and pains that lurked underneath to be able to look at them. And the book evolved. But the goal stayed the same. The goal is to heal from racism. But healing is something organic beings do. Racism, the way we talk about racism, is a phenomena that is systemic. But within all those systems are people, organic beings. And at every single juncture of this system is a person, a human being, a person who feels, loves, and knows what it is to grieve. And if they haven't had the fortune to experience grief, they will inevitably at some point in their life, because it is 100% guaranteed. Grief is a gift given to us. And so, understanding what it is to be human, this work centers our humanity, and it really embraces the wholeness of us, all that is within us, all that is within us in this one space, both individually but collectively. And we have great weaknesses and great strengths. We have great weaknesses and great strengths. We are capable of so much good and so much bad. We are capable of such brilliance and such stupidity at times. And we're capable of so much love and yet so much hatred. And in moments when we exhibit our greatest strengths, we are our best selves, and we have the capacity to show up with great courage, great clarity, and great fortitude and persistence. And then there are those moments where fear and anxieties overwhelm us, and we cower, and we feel weak, we feel unable, and we feel hopelessly defeated. And all these aspects of ourselves show up and are impacted by the narratives that support and uphold racism and the behaviors and attitudes that accompany the belief. And so that's where the book started, and it sort of has evolved into that. And so what Juneteenth teaches us about the struggle for liberation is the courage to confront the difficult. It was African American troops, soldiers joining to fight for their own liberty. The courage to confront the difficult. They were advised to stay. Many people chose to leave not knowing where they were going, And so the courage to confront the difficult. And so I'd like to give you a little synopsis of the book. The book has 3 parts. And it challenges you, it invites you, and it challenges you to confront the difficult, to identify within yourselves the patterns that must be broken, to heal the inflictions of racism, the both within and without. So the book has 3 parts. The first part aims to expand your awareness. And a quote that I like that sort of anchors this section is, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced," by James Baldwin. Part 1 invites you to examine your experiences with interactions that had racialized undertones or mirror those experiences, and consider the meaning you attribute to those experiences and how those meanings influence how you show up in the world today. The second part is shifting your ways of being. And a quote that resonates with that idea is from Audre Lorde. In her book, Cancer Diaries, she writes, "I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised and misunderstood. Learning to put fear into perspective, gave me great strength. My silences had not protected me. Your silences will not protect you. And so here we see Miss Lord acknowledging within herself the silences that did not protect her, the silences that came from not wanting to risk being bruised and misunderstood, but the evolution, the shifting of her way of being to be able to recognize that the things that she believes and are most important to her must be spoken. And so the second part sort of assumes that you would like to participate in advancing racial equity in your own way, right? By doing your part. And it's designed to help you source the power to shift your way of being. Each of us is positioned differently. And so my actions and what I need to do is going to be very different than what Jose or Sean or Toby needs to do. And therefore, the actions each of us needs to take to advance racial equity will be different. Only you can find that specific calling. And it is an evolution, an unfoldment. And then finally, the third part is developing new skills. Specifically, there's a quote by Peter Kamani, who is a Kenyan writer, and in his book, The Dance of Jacaranda, he has this passage observing the patterns that arise out of warfare. And he says, one unspoken rule about warfare is that neither the victim nor the villain is willing to tell what truly happened afterwards. The motivation for the former being to minimize the degree of hurt and loss, which intensifies at every bout of recollection. The explanation for the latter being to disguise the full extent to which one's humanity is diminished by brutalizing others. And so, kind of working off of this and also following my own observations, that a big part of the challenge is how we are communicating with each other. Part 3 offers a way to use your power to promote racial healing by centering the diversity of understanding and striving to connect on mutually respectful terms through greater communication, improved communication. And so that is an overview of what my book has evolved to become, where it was and where it is now. And finally, before the book comes out, I would like to tell you about something that I'd like to release to you. It's a video series that is an accompaniment to my book, Healing from Racism. And I call it Healing from Racism, Lessons from the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is roughly translates to the Book of the Way. And it has 81 verses. It's a very small book. And in it, the author, Lao Tzu, lays a treatise to living a good life and governing wisely. And there are many warnings and guiding posts that are embedded throughout those 81 verses. They're very short, and you could read each one 1 minute in 1 minute. But the reason I bring this up and want to share this with you is as I started writing Healing from Racism, I turned to the Tao Te Ching more frequently. My copy of the Tao Te Ching came from my father's library, and he's a theologian and an Old Testament scholar. And I began sporadically reading it 7 years ago or so, and just as a form of reflection. But as I was writing the book, I really found myself going back to it over and over and over again. And even in these moments where I was observing our how we were grieving, but also unable to grieve, I turned to it just to sort of ground myself. And so that's those reflections that arose out of that experience are what I want to share with you in the video series. So over the next week, I will be sharing one verse per week. I may not do all 81, really just kind of based on the content and what surfaces as it relates to healing from racism. And so I want to share that with you, just share those video series with you. And I really want to engage with you in a conversation, so kind of anchored around those prompts. I invite you to engage with passages and with my comments. You'll see the format is very straightforward. You'll see I'll actually include the passage at the top, and then I'll have a video sharing my reflection. And then at the bottom, there'll be an area for you to offer your thoughts and reflections. And so it's a very sort of basic, easy, sort of accessible exercise that I invite you to engage with. I find the meditations to be extremely healing and grounding. And so that's partly why I want to share them with you, because the goal of the book and part of writing this book is the healing practice. And healing from racism is a dialogue and a collective act. And so I welcome your thoughts, your questions, and your feedback as you read these passages and uncover what lies there. And so over the next week, look out for the first batch of videos batch of the video series to come. So healing from racism, lessons from the Tao Te Ching. And with that, I'd just like to play one more song, and I have other songs queued up if you'd like to stick around and participate in that. But I would like to just play one more song for you as we center ourselves in this experience. So make sure my sound is shared. Okay. And just again, I invite you to feel it, move with it, and enjoy it.
Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Redefine, realign. Deep inside, we divine. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Redefine, realign. Deep inside, we divine. I know times are kinda tough right now, and nobody's showing love. You're a diamond in the rough. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough. I know times are kinda tough right now, and you'd rather be in love. You're a diamond in the rough. Love yourself, know your worth. worth, you're enough. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough right now. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough right now. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind. Take your time, free your mind. You can find peace of mind.
Thank you all for joining us this evening as we celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth. Again, want to acknowledge and recognize the fathers who are and the men who represent uh, strong figures in people's lives. And thank you so much for being with us. And as you continue on your journey, may you continue to be blessed and strengthened by the eternal. In the chat, I'm going to drop the link to the playlist if you liked some of the songs. I didn't get to play all of them, but they are all powerful, and I find that there's such there's such powerful um, messaging and communication happening through music and through art and through poetry. And so I just want to encourage you to check that list out and thanks in absentia to all the artists for all that they do to help heal and help bring clarity and to the struggle that is, and also for enlightening us and enlivening us in our journey. And so, love you all. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will be in touch. Look out for the video series to be dropped this week. Bye.